nation under fraud. Completely visible, with lying and spying for all. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
There's not one of you who would dare to write his honest opinions. The business of a journalist is to destroy truth, to lie outright, to pervert, to vilify, to fawn at the feet of mammon, and to sell himself, his country, and his race for his daily bread. So we have a structure of manipulation which is string-pulling the politicians of all political colours, the media, the intelligence agencies, the big companies, and the global banking system. And the plan now is to create so much conflict around the world, so much chaos, including a massive global collapse, which they'll engineer someone else to be blamed for, that we'll have a situation where we'll have a massive problem which has to find a solution. And the solution will be centralized government, centralized bank.
All right, that was David Icke, and welcome to the Kate Daly Show. So glad you're listening in today. I've got the great and fabulous Susan. I've got the great and fabulous Melissa today, and a lot of info to go over. There was a school shooting. We'll talk about that. I want to talk. We'll talk a little bit. Well, we have so much. We have so much in this hour, and a few of the latest Tucker interviews to the people that he interviewed. And so we have a lot on the docket. The headline today is Republicans secretly want Kamala to win Hormala, and I have to. I have to say, every day it's a headline like this to make it look like we're done. You know, conservatives are just absolutely done for. But rest assured, I think that this is a big buildup of drama. And the other thing is, the only ones that would actually, if that were true, would be the complete and total rhinos like Mitt Romney and Lindsey and all of these folk that I can't stand. So just to kind of let you know, the headlines are so into creating this drama. It's just so gross, grotesque. Every day I wake up to think, okay, what's going to be the next one? So today it's Republicans secretly want Hormala. All right, Susan Reeve, how are you?
That's a pretty big secret because most people don't know about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anyway, it's the headline du jour of the day, the soup du jour. I also wanted to quickly mention that Friday, it looks like we'll have Greg Manarino and Dr. Brian Ardis visiting the show. And then tomorrow we have Thomas Del Beccaro, who wrote the book, The Lessons of the American Civilization, and also Chris Ann Hall. All right. So, Susan, let's start with the school shooting in Georgia. This just happened.
Yes, this is a high school, and they have said 4 people dead, they're confirming, and some reports said up to 30 people injured. Others have said 9 confirmed injuries. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it takes a while to get some of the accurate information out. Mm-hmm. And they said they plan on doing an investigation. Mm-hmm. I can't tell if they don't put it in the first few lines of an article that they've caught the shooter. You sometimes wonder if they do, but sometimes you find it further down. And so I've been scanning and scanning all the new outcoming because it's a blizzard of information. Mm-hmm. And I do remember seeing one that they took somebody into custody, and now it's almost like I can't find it. It's almost like the news doesn't want that to be the focus.
Yeah.
Like, why are they making it so hard to find that information?
Yeah. And they're not confirming that the person's been taken out or that the person was a student or that I mean, a lot of information unconfirmed. I will say that Brian Kemp, the governor, is a bought and sold individual, a bought and paid for, I should say, individual. So anything that happens in his state, I'm immediately suspect because, and this goes for almost virtually every state now, to be honest. But this guy is really on the payroll. So this shooting will be very interesting. The thing to look for, because we've gone through so many shootings in 14 years and most of them have not been what we were told. I would look for the things that are always missing, and it's very strange, are coroners, people with emergency personnel going in, or students coming out, or like the very basics that you would expect to see at a crime scene are usually non-existent. Have you noticed that?
I have. It's surprising. You would expect, like what happened actually in Columbine, where you had tons of emergency services show up. This is they are working with the police, the sheriff, the FBI, the state police. And so, it can be dangerous. Obviously, it's dangerous. They do tend to line the kids up outside, which always blows my mind. The kids are taught to go, sit in the bleachers. We see all these views overhead, sit in the bleachers or go stand in line over there. It seems so dangerous to me to be out in the open like that.
Right.
It says now we're in the process of reunifying students with their parents. The police said the situation is fluid and very active and ever developing.
They always use the word fluid. It always cracks me up because they coined that word about 10 years ago and everything became fluid. We're fluid. And it's so bizarre. And whether this is real or a false flag to take guns again, which I would imagine, I've gone through so many shootings, and I would say that most all of the shootings have been false flags. Florida, you name it. And so this would not shock me or surprise me to see another false flag. Right now, they're saying now it's a 14-year-old boy who's the shooter.
And so by false flag, it can mean a whole bunch of different things, including that people were put up to it. And we're not even saying by who,
right? But
that there was some kind of coordination. It wasn't just organic.
Right.
That was some type of prompting, encouragement.
Or a takeover of the kid, which we've seen before, because the parents, remember in Texas, reached out and said, the feds won't stay away from my son who is mentally a little bit off, challenged, and got him a driver's license. And then all of a sudden he's in a van in front of a bank with a bomb. So and they would not stay away from our son, even though they would always go over to our house when we weren't home and things like that. So we've seen evidence of this, of them befriending, cultivating, if you will.
Grooming.
And I'm not saying this is it, because we never know, right? When we jump in, we try to stay unbiased, but if I had to look at the last 14 years, I would say most of the shootings have so many questions that it's unbelievable, and so many questions that there's no way I could say it was an authentic shooting. No way.
Yeah. It's so funny because this is a UPI article that I'm looking at, and it said it was like 12 minutes ago, and it doesn't mention the 14-year-old.
Yeah, this was just like 19 minutes ago. They just announced a 14-year-old. Who knows? Information could change.
And I would be surprised if it was more than one person. That's rare. But this is 50 miles west of Atlanta at Appalachia High School.
Yeah.
And so Georgia is going through some really interesting things right now. There's a big standoff about releasing some unsealed, so they were never sealed ballots. And they have a court order. They're supposed to be releasing these thousands of ballots from the 2020 election so they can be looked at. And there's a standoff between people in charge of the ballots and the people who have a right to see them. And that was just reported in the news today as this massive standoff. And now this happens.
Thank you for that info. Interesting court, coincidence. Yeah. Most people would think that is a coincidence. And because we don't know for sure, all we can assume is that they happened within, time proximity to each other. But anyway, I'm just reading this where it says students go and sit in the large stadium. Yeah. How is that not dangerous to be out in the open? I still don't get those school protocols. Yeah, this is okay. So the things to look for, the things that I'm always looking for are how quickly do they talk about gun control to the camera when you're supposed to have grieving people or people that are the natural behavior would be to grieve, would be to say, they're too shocked to talk to the camera. But if they launch into gun control, we have a problem. Okay. The other thing. Karine Jean-Pierre just said, this is not normal. Enough is enough. So they're already going down that path. Yep. And the other thing is you won't see coroners. You won't see people leaving where it would look normal, like a normal amount of kids. You'll see weird timelines thrown up, and you'll see it's always a loner. It's always somebody that he'll probably have Nazi lingo on his Facebook page. All of these things we see again and again and again and again. And so let me take a quick caller. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead.
Yes, what we're not seeing is that our Republicans and Democrats in Congress and the presidents, whether Republican or Democrat, are not abolishing the unconstitutional free murder zones at school. Federal government has no authority to begin for civilian disarmament at all, but they have these laws that say to the kids may be uneducated, but they're not retarded. They're not. They have IQ. They realize this is a free murder zone. So let's assume what occurred was this 14-year-old carried this out. He knows he can shoot up people for a while because there's no guns in those schools.
It's a fish in a barrel.
Civilian disarmament is the problem. We need to get the teachers armed.
Yes, it's fish in a barrel. And the thing is Kamala has been out lately with her talk of abolishing the Second Amendment by executive order, which is illegal. So who knows?
Also a big push to get school resource officers who are armed out of the school. They said it's racist to have them in schools. And, I'm glad to see when my kids have a school resource officer who's armed, who's a regular police officer. And so I don't know if that was the case.
I don't know. I think there's two sides to the resource officer thing. If we have fish in a barrel, okay, then somebody's armed. I totally get that. On the other side of it, we put those in schools for the most ridiculous reasons, though, because this is such a rare event. When I'm looking at the past, I'm looking at the last 20 years, most of these are false flag events. And so the resource officer was put in to say, everyone's violent. Everyone's ready to do something. Everybody's ready to be violent, even though a school shooting is extremely rare, an authentic one, so rare that I think it would be hard to calculate. So I think there's actually two sides to that. I think you could look at it both ways. And I appreciate both sides, because we've talked a lot about school resource officers on this show and how the presence of them, a full-time job as a resource officer, seems really extravagant, to put them in and then say, well, we have to have them even though the incidences are low. At the same time, fish in a barrel to have somebody armed. I can see it. Be right back. Kate Daly Show. More with Susan Reeve. Be right back.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Sounds rolling, all three cameras, we're good. Speed.
Is there any regrets that you have in life? I should sit here and say, yeah, I got a lot of regrets. But when I look back on my life and I understand the lives that were lost, I mean, I'm sitting here with you. And I can tell my story.
Former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today for lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
A brilliant military career serving 33 years.
Why was he being so elusive?
Mike Flynn told the truth and faced life in prison.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn, one of America's most treasured military heroes. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Go to Patriot TV, click on Store, and grab a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a treasured piece of American history, and get your own personal download link to watch America's most talked-about movie, as well as a DVD hand-signed by General Michael Flynn. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV Store. Incredible savings and a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
Susan, okay, right back here with you. And on the note of the school shooting, I'll go to task tonight, be looking at all the details, tell you what I find. All I can say is that false flags are very abundant when it comes to gun control, especially in our schools. It's extremely rare. I've done the numbers. We did not have any kinds of shootings like this until we got to about 25 years ago, and then it became on the increase. And since 2012, sharp increase. And all I'm saying is that there are signs to what is a false flag or maybe a more authentic shooting. And either way, I remain very objective. And in false flags, people can die, and sometimes they don't. And so that's what I'm always looking at is, do we actually have casualties or not? Those are the kinds of things. So I'll be looking at that in a very objective way, but just wanted to let everybody know that. All right, Susan. Oh, my gosh, the memes from Kamala.
Oh, goodness. There is the funniest story that has ramped up in the last few days, and that is that Kamala is telling groups about her time at working at McDonald's. Now, she was the daughter, when she was in college, her father was working for Stanford. Her mother was a cancer researcher. Do you really think this little princess was working at McDonald's? I'm just saying the odds are no.
Yeah.
Also, she did not talk to her biographers about that. So none of that is listed in either of the biographies written about her. In case you missed those gems, I'm sure they were very exciting. But she's never mentioned it until 2019 when she and Biden were running for president. And so that's like a tell, right? So now the memes are hilarious. There's one that shows her in a McDonald's uniform with the hat on, and it says, "Do you want lies with that?
Do you want lies with that instead of fries?"
Do you want lies with that? Yes, instead of fries. Because she said, "I used to do the fries." And someone wrote this great article, and they said, that is a tell. Everybody who's worked at McDonald's and been in charge of fries, you drop the fries. That's what it's called. That's what you do. Nobody says, will you do fries?
Yeah.
And so she's so transparent. It's like...
Well, I look at all of King Dingling's lies, and he was born in a Puerto Rican neighborhood, and all of the lies he tells about his family and his history and who he is and everything. And so, of course, it's the same playbook, and they don't even care if anyone notices it's a lie. They're just there to shove it in everyone's face and then try to get away with it, which the media will provide cover because that's how terrible the media is.
Well, and part of that is how the narratives have been instilled in us. And I love this quote by Danica Patrick, another meme. It says, so many Democrat voting women, often married, think Trump is untrustworthy because they believe he slept with side chicks. So now they're going to demonstrate how much they hate Trump by voting for the actual side chick, Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
And it's
extraordinary.
It's not logical.
You know, I don't actually believe the Stormy Daniels story. Not at all. I've never believed it. Something about it seemed very contrived. She was a paid-for person to show up in the media every few years and try to accuse Trump. I actually don't believe it. I know he was a philanderer, but I do not believe the Stormy Daniels thing. I don't.
Yeah, and I think what it is the left tests narrative based on what their own people on the left would believe.
Right.
And it doesn't even have to pass the smell test.
Yeah.
It doesn't to us, right?
No. And I think there is the smell test, and you can kind of navigate which things are the lies. Be right back on the Kate Daly Show. More with Susan Reeve when we come back.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com.
This is the Kate Daly Show.
On paper, but when I close my eyes late at night, you can bet I thank my maker.
Oh, yeah, I do. I love it. Welcome back, Kate Daly Show. I've got Susan Reeve today because it's Wednesday. She visits the show every Wednesday with her latest in research, and followed by Melissa, who's coming up in the next hour. And just wanted to mention activatefiq.com. That's where I get my supplements. They absorb in the body. They're fantastic. The sleep one, is non-habit forming and totally natural. I love it. And I really do. I don't get great sleep, so I've needed that. And then also their histamine is amazing if you have allergy problems. And the bone broth one is so cool. There's just so many. Of course, take copper and magnesium. And magnesium will also help you sleep as well. So activatefiq.com and then just put in the code Kate. It's very, very simple. And you'll get extra savings on top of an already steal of a price. And they've got a great sale going on right now. activatefiq.com. Okay, code word is Kate. Susan, back here with you. So what was published yesterday? This is very interesting timing.
So yesterday, the Tennessee Star published the entire 90-page diary of school shooter Audrey Hale, and she killed 3 students and 3 administrators or teachers in Nashville. And that was last year in 2023, and they've been fighting to get this, and then the Tennessee Star just published it. And you don't really learn a lot except her motives about she's going to be famous, and she felt like she was transgender, and how tormented she felt about having to think she was a boy, but now she thinks she's a girl, and on and on and on. Well, they also published something interesting, too, that talked about how she had been a psychiatric patient at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, it says, for 2 decades. And so if she was in her 20s and had some psychiatric issues, but she was on, over the course, she had at least 5 mental illnesses and received cocktails of psychiatric drugs as quote-unquote treatment.
Since she was 8. Since she's 28 right now. So she's 28, so 8 years old?
Yeah. So some of the adverse events associated with things like lorazepam, buspirone, Lexapro, Prozac, and, people have been following the connection, correlation between people on lots of those combinations of drugs and then high rates of suicidality, which is what you get with these shooters. And that's what she said, I want to be remembered, but I want to kill myself too. So, she didn't kill herself. And so it's very interesting that the very next day we have a mass shooting. And part of the reason that the FBI and people, they don't want these things released, they say, is to avoid the copycat syndrome. So if you believe that, I don't know who would be copycatting a transgender person. if this person, the new shooter, is transgender, this will be very interesting.
Yeah. If you go back 20 years, you won't find too many kids at 8 years old being put on such a cocktail. So I wonder if she was part of a program, actually, where somebody is sort of cultivated into a situation where they could be utilized as a shooter. So I remember this shooting at the Covenant School. It was very interesting because it appeared to be a drill. And when you looked at the cop footage and when you looked at her inside the school, it very much seemed like a drill, like they were exercising a drill. So lots of crazy stuff around the Covenant School shooting. Uvalde and Covenant School shooting, I did really big in-depth shows on that, and I don't believe they were authentic shootings at all. I do believe they were false flags. So it's interesting that they would release this information a day before the shooting in Georgia. Very intriguing.
It's very interesting timing, and other people might say, oh, it's just a conspiracy. And it might take years before we figure out what the connection, usually based on whistleblowers coming forward. So I don't know how soon we're going to really get. You know, anytime there's an ongoing investigation, they hold the information so close. And it's all these news organizations with Freedom of Information Act requests that kind of get this stuff. But you're just like pulling teeth from the FBI. They still haven't released a lot of the stuff from the shooting with Trump. And even John Hawley said yesterday, he goes, I'm getting all this through whistleblowers. He goes, they're not being forthcoming at all.
I was just going to say, when I looked back at the numbers, when I went back through school shootings in America, it was really interesting that once the CIA programs came about, once the feds turned so dirty in the 50s, it was kind of amazing how you all of a sudden had the lone shooter. You all of a sudden had not a big uptick at all. Probably more in the 70s, you had a tiny uptick of school shootings, and then in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. But it was really, really strange how that did not occur before the CIA and the feds took this very dark turn in America and came about to be the agencies that they are today. And it was through their drug programs in the 50s where I think people were cultivated into shooters that they could blame stuff on, because in the 60s we had the lone gunman, right? The lone gunman took out a few of our Kennedy and also a couple of Martin Luther. So you had a lot of that starting. And we did not have the mass school shootings of somebody going in and just shooting up. Before then, it was somebody that was targeted, like they didn't like a teacher, a specific teacher or a specific classmate, and it was so rare, hardly ever happened. But then you got into the mass shootings for no apparent reason, like this Audrey Hale for no apparent reason walks into Covenant School. Very strange.
Yeah, I do think, and there was something also, there was a new show, and I can't remember if it was the Young Turks, somebody had said on the Young Turks, maybe, allegedly, I can't remember if this was the show, that said the transgenders need to take up arms to defend themselves along that line, and then we had the school shooting. So interesting. I can't remember exactly who that was, but there was also a correlation. But, if somebody's bound and determined, and I do think there are young people very much psychologically susceptible to programming just via movies, just via video games, first-person shooter. We have entered into a whole fantasy state in our media that some people are extremely sensitive to.
Yeah, possibly.
And so it could be a big part of it.
Could be. Very, very much so. And we'll look at more details tonight, since this just happened today. But that is I don't believe in coincidences. I'm not a coincidence theorist. So I think the information coming out today would be very. I would definitely be looking at that. As far as yesterday, I'm sorry, the information that came out on Audrey Hale just happens to surface yesterday. So, and when we come back, Tucker had an interesting interview, you said.
Oh, yeah. Super interesting. That's gone viral and created a ton of controversy.
Yeah. And who was the person?
It was Daryl Cooper. He is just a hobbyist historian, but he said he would read, like on the Palestinian conflict in Israel, he read like 80 books and then 100 partial books on it, then creates videos, like explainer videos. And he said he tries to understand why both sides feel like they're acting logically to them. Well, that's useful.
Yeah.
And he said what we were told about World War II was that an entire country just went crazy, lost their sanity, and then became normal. And he said that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was the most controversial is when they went into Poland, Germany went into Poland, put people in concentration camps, there was no food or very little food available. The commanders called to Berlin and said, are we going to starve?
We're going to be right back. More with Susan Reeve when we come back. Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, and it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. This is actually organic, mold-free, certified. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Make the healthy choice for you and your family. Try mold-free, pesticide-free, and it's organic. Delicious Kingdom Cup coffee. And it's available now at the Patriot TV store. Go to patriot.tv and click on store. You'll find Kingdom Cup coffee in the health and wellness section. Order Kingdom Cup coffee at the Patriot TV store now.
This is the Kate Daly Show.
All right, welcome back. Kate Daly Show. And I've got Susan Reeve. Got some great info in this next segment as well. And so you were just talking about Daryl Cooper, Susan, and interviewed by Tucker. Also, Tucker had a great interview with Simone Gold, Dr. Simone Gold, who I've interviewed as well several times. And she was talking about the fact that Kaiser was the one that said, you cannot prescribe as a doctor anything that we don't tell you you can prescribe. It was Kaiser, but we'll talk more about that this week in the shows this week. But he's had some interesting interviews lately.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And one of the topics that Daryl Cooper covered was Jim Jones. And I know you know a lot about Jim Jones. And there's a very strange background to that as well.
CIA asset.
So one of the things that people were upset about this article is he said that the commanders called Berlin, who were in charge of these concentration camps, and said, we need food. You're not giving us any. And they said, we're not promising you anything. And they said, well, if you're going to kill them, then isn't it going to be more humane if we do that right away? Isn't it? So the word humane with a commander of a concentration camp freaks people out. That you would say humane, that this was a humane thing to do. No, he wasn't saying it was humane. He was saying that they didn't go in thinking that's what they were going to be in charge of. And that this was done out of humanity. Of course, that's twisted and psycho. Of course it is. But Candace Owens recommended a movie that I watched, which in 1945, it's called The Savage Peace, about what happened in the aftermath of the war to the German people as retaliation. And it kind of sent a shiver up my spine because people felt so justified in beating them and raping them and attacking them, even average people. And I thought, I am praying to God that if Trump is elected and immigrants are said to need to return, that people will maintain their sanity and not use immigrants as scapegoats for frustration and anger and rage, because that's humanity. That is what people do. So anyway, it was just such a deep, dark dive on World War II. And I thought, wow, that's a perspective I had never considered, the aftermath. Anyway, I think it's useful. This is what social media was going to bring us. It was always going to bring us this, which is why they're trying to control it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't want these ideas passing through our minds, even if we're going to think about them critically, critical thinking.
Yeah.
They don't want that. So it's
Daryl Cooper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Daryl Cooper. So a very funny story. I love this story so much because you and I were onto this from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly on Reddit, a roommate posted a document, took pictures and posted a document of look what so-and-so found on her desk at work. And it was the contract that allegedly reveals the staged relationship breakup between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, the football player.
Travis Kelce. Yeah, it's very interesting too because it's football season. So this will be we've said from the beginning. You and I have agreed this was a very contrived thing and put in our faces. And of course, she's pro Hormala and everything else, and so is he. And how weird this relationship is. Very strange.
Yeah. Well, and there was a different woman who came forward when they were first going out that said, I was approached by a PR team that said, Travis Kelce's trying to get into Hollywood. Would you be willing to go out with him and start a relationship? And she said, no, I wasn't interested in doing that.
Right.
And it turns out, so this is some of the funny things that it says, that the breakup date is supposed to be September 28th. And it shows pictures of the documents, the alleged documents, right?
Yeah.
And it says this document's intended for internal use only. It should not be shared with external parties. And then they engaged a legal team to counter this public exposure that they now have. So earlier this year, Vivek Ramaswamy said, I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple this fall. Just some wild speculation over here. Let's see how this ages over 8 months. In Taylor Swift, because he was in those commercials for the vaccine.
Yes. Very big promoters.
Absolutely. And then now Paige Van Zandt has come out. She's a martial artist. And she says this concoction, Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce romance, is 100% fake. She said she was approached. She said, I was on Dancing with the Stars. I hired a publicist. And she says she was approached for a stage date with an NFL player. And so she said, this is done by PR people in Hollywood to promote both their careers. So you go, well, what is Taylor Swift getting out of this? I still don't get that.
Yeah. I mean, it's usually a distraction, and it's usually it's to very much co-opt the audience into thinking that this is a real thing, right? And so when you look at the promotion, they've got a lot of young girls, young people, young girls that could possibly have infertility problems in the future, basically taking their advice, and then they become the super power couple. And so both of them are on the treadmill saying vaccines, vaccines, vaccines. And the young girls say, well, I've got to go get it because they're the power couple of the century. So now we have to follow their advice.
Absolutely. And if you go through the supermarket checkout, whose face is on the cover, it's this power couple. So they know what they're doing in terms of publicity. And if young people do not know that this is how it works, this is how the game works.
Yes.
They did it in Hollywood. They would pair all these couples together to promote movies and leak rumors of romance, and they do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think so much of what we see is very contrived for these entertainment purposes. The NFL is very contrived for entertainment purposes. So I can see the willingness to go along with this. And then you've got people you had the Super Bowl last time, all contrived around moments they could film between the two of them. And that was supposed to be the highlight. We're a society of crazy when it comes to we'll buy anything they sell to us, and a lot of it's entertainment. NFL's scripted entertainment, I feel. So
So it completely is.
So is
and
Taylor.
They know what sells.
Yes.
They know what news. They know what sells products. And
Taylor,
this couple sells.
Taylor Swift is very different from the Taylor Swift that started in music. The Taylor Swift of today is a very different vehicle than when she was a kid strumming along on her guitar and got found and became a product of all of the exact same ideology as all of the other big stars when they get their fame and glory. It's kind of fascinating how much was changed with her. Boy, we could do a whole show just on that. Thank you, Susan Reeve. Appreciate it. And thank you. And of course, on to Melissa. Don't go anywhere. Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com. Be right back. You're not going to want to miss a minute of today's show. Be right back.
Looking to give your wardrobe an upgrade? Well, look no further. Here at God Country & Kin, we've got you covered from head to toe, from shoulder to shoulder, and everything in between. Introducing our brand new Patriotic Collection, designed to display your patriotic spirit with a stylish look that's sure to turn heads. And the best part is, you don't have to break the bank to be your best you. Why wait? Visit us online or in-store today and elevate your style with God Country & Kin. God Country & Kin, where patriotism meets style. Shop now. Visit the Patriot TV store and look for the God Country Kin banner to find the perfect outfit, shirt, accessory, or maybe a great hat. You can totally see yourself rocking this hat. I know you can. And check out all the great stuff we've got to show your patriotism at patriot.tv.store. Click that link above that says store and join me there at the Patriot TV store.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to talk about a limited time offer of subscriptions to Patriot.tv and how you can become a member of our Patriot Defenders subscription club and become a member of Patriot.tv. Really, it's America's network. I call it the home of truth. And you can do that for only $9.99 a month. It's a great deal by itself, but what I'm going to walk you through here in these next few seconds is a couple of package deals that we have that are unbelievable. The next membership was the annual membership at $99 that you can save. Right away, you save $20 if you come in at the annual subscription rate. The best deal that I think that people ought to seriously consider is the 2-year membership at $159. And it includes a special edition of my recently released documentary, Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost. So along with the 2-year membership, the 2-year subscription will send you a DVD combo of the film, plus an option to stream the movie online, as well as exclusive interviews of Tucker Carlson, Devin Nunes, and myself. So go to the home of truth, right? Go to Patriot.tv today, sign up, seriously consider the 2-year subscription rate. It's an unbelievable savings. I think it's a total savings of about $70 from just signing up on a monthly or a annual basis. So thank you very much for your support. Patriot.tv is America's new network. Thank you.
Melissa Smith is with me. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
I am fabulous because it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, Midwest Melissa. And I just wanted to announce on Friday, we have Greg Manarino with an announcement, and also Dr. Artis is coming on the show. I always love it when both guys visit the show. We'll be talking money with Greg. Of course, he's the Robin Hood of Wall Street and really accurate. And then, of course, Dr. Artis and Dr. Artis, Brian Artis always has great info. Newest cutting edge info. And tomorrow we have Thomas Del Beccaro and his book, the lessons of the American civilization, pardon me. And then also Chris Ann Hall tomorrow too with Uncle Milty. All right, Melissa, we're going to be talking about where we're at right now as far as our society goes, what we kind of want to ignore too.
Yeah.
In a way.
So I gotta kind of set it up by telling you what my personal, how I got to this place.
Mm-hmm.
So I've noticed it all through the summer, just this kind of edgy, anxious feeling, not anxious, not like anxiety anxious, but just, there's just always this feeling like the hackles on the back of my neck are standing up.
Mm-hmm.
And periodically I'll just think, what am I feeling? What am I tuning into that I'm not really seeing or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to a lot of just whatever on YouTube. I listen to a lot of interviews with people that think and talk about all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the interviews, the guest was saying, we live in a dystopian society already, but our brains just haven't caught up to that yet. And I went, that's it. And so I decided to take a look. How dystopian are we?
Right.
And I don't know about anybody else, but I've read a fair number of dystopian novels going all the way back, to high school. I decided to read 1984 when I was in high school, and that kind of creeped me out then, and read Brave New World, and there's, all of those. And I've kind of kept up and checked in with that literature. Fahrenheit 451, or I read The Handmaid's Tale before it was a TV thing.
Right.
I read it many years ago, and it kind of spooked me. Every time I read them, I'm always like, okay, that just made this. I get that same feeling after reading one of those books that I'm having right now. And so how dystopian are we, and what are we kind of shutting our eyes to?
Okay.
There's things happening right in front of us, and we're being told, don't look at that. Don't think about that. That's not what you think it is. So just ignore it and move on. Move on with your life.
You're right.
Yeah. So let's start with this piece of weirdness. How dystopian is this?
Okay.
If you have bought a new car recently, you should know that your car is sending more data or equivalent data back to the car companies, who are also now selling that data, just like Facebook does, just like anybody does. But your car is sending as much data about you to the car companies as your smartphone is sending to their parent company.
Yeah. And the newer cars, it's so bad that you can't opt out. You can't get out of it. You can try, but you can't.
Some companies say that you can opt out. Whether you actually are opting out or not, hard to say. I mean, how would you prove that or not?
Yeah.
I don't know how you could ever say, how can they verify that? But they're not. So the way it's being sold is, it's like having a black box on an airplane. They can monitor and see, if you're in an accident, they know how fast you were going. They can create, the circumstances of the accident, or they can monitor your engine performance and let you know when your battery's about ready to go, or when the tire pressure's bad in your tires, or whatever, all this stuff. But it's also being packaged. Don't forget, if you have a backing camera in your car, there's a camera in your car.
Yeah.
It's taking pictures and sending that back too.
So true.
It has a microphone inside your car that's listening to what you're saying. Your car knows everywhere you go, how long you stay there. It knows what your presets are on your radio. It knows a lot of information about you. And by the way, lest you think that this is just harmless, the car companies are selling that data. And one of the places they're selling it to is insurance companies. So when you go to get auto insurance, you may already be tagged with whether you're a safe driver or not.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. It's creepy. It's so creepy. It's beyond creepy. And people think, well, it's cool. It's not cool. We had the guy from the association that tries to fight a lot of this on the show, and he was just abhorred to think that people don't realize what their car is absorbing from their personal life. We don't realize, a lot.
And what we don't know is, like I said, there's a microphone. They can listen to you. Are they listening to your conversations? Probably.
I would imagine. That's why they have that too.
Yeah. So if you're talking to your kids on the drive home from church about what they just heard at church, are they listening to that? And who are they telling that to?
Right.
Or who are they selling that to is the biggest thing. We've talked about this on the show a while ago. Right now, there needs to be a big fight. It's not happening, but there needs to be a fight over who does your individual data belong to? Is it yours or is it somebody else's?
Good question. Are we ever going to, can we sue for our own information? Can we sue for privacy? Has anyone truly done that with today's technology that we have right now?
Well, we're all willing to go along because isn't this is how dystopian everything works, right? We go along with it because we've been sold something. We've been told, oh, won't it be great to know when your tire pressure is low or when, we can reconstruct an accident. Think how helpful that will be. And we don't really process or think about what we have given away of ourselves by trading that for a little bit of safety or protection, maybe.
Yeah, very, very true.
Some of them even have like thumbprints.
Yeah.
They have some cars now can even, they're doing facial recognition.
Yeah.
You don't think about all of that technology coming with your brand new car that smells so wonderful when you drive it away.
I know it. And self-driving
about that.
aspects of the new cars. And it was interesting. There was a huge buy, and I'll do more on this on the show, but Bain, of course, Bain Capital, did a big buy, $4.5 billion this summer of this company called Investnet. And they have this technology that combines all the personal information along with investing. So they added AI, and then they also added, it was worth a lot of money, $4.5 billion for Bain and BlackRock to consume, to buy up, because the technology sort of takes all your personal info, all personal info about the companies that you're investing in and and your personal info. It's a technology driver for combining info that's out there and info that they can get in a very weird technology way and add that into an investment portfolio. And this company, the CEO died in a car crash in 2019. And when it was taken over and moved into this direction. And then they just bought it. And so when you keep your eyes on data is king. So the car data, your financial data, everything is combined now, and it's creating an entire you. It's creating an entire portfolio.
Well, let's add to that. And we already know this. Everybody knows this. When we talk about Big Brother, which was the 1984 thing, right? Big Brother's watching, and we were all creeped out by that back in high school.
Right.
But right now, 97% of the American population owns a smartphone.
Yeah. Sad. I mean, it is.
So
I have one, you have
Big
one.
Brother is legitimately watching. And we refuse to think of our smartphone as Big Brother.
Yeah, we kind of feel like if we just pretend they're not, we just go along with our lives, just kind of pretend they're not. We'll be right back. Kate Daly Show, more with Midwest Melissa when I return.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying Patriot.tv. I'm Kira, and I am so excited to tell you about our new store. We have everything you could want to show your patriotism around your house. We've got artwork, we've got coffee mugs, there's health and beauty stuff, and even things to decorate with. I've got a few examples here just to give you a little look behind the scenes. First up, by the world-renowned artist Robert Holton, this is part of his Drizzle collection. Give you a better look at that. How cool is that Lady Liberty? Wouldn't that look great in your hallway? And there's even artwork you can wear on your body. God, Country, and Kin, amazing denim jacket for the ladies. Look at this detail and look at the back. Dangerous there with the twin pistols. And ladies, those are not just bullets, those are lipsticks. Yeah, you're dangerous all the way around, right? And there's also stuff you can put on your head. All about the cowboy core this year, right? Love these great hats they've got going. Check out the front and the detail on that with the longhorn. Lovely in the back, and it looks even better on. Yeehaw. Love to show my patriotism in a great cowboy hat. Check us out at the Patriot.tv store today. Join me there. So if you've got an itch to do a little shopping and show your patriotic spirit, click that link above that says store and join me there at the Patriot TV store.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over. Your entire order ships absolutely free.
This is the Kate Daly Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Daly Show. KateDalyRadio.com for all the podcasts of this here show, this here live show, and on the radio. Really appreciate you. And you can watch us at night on Patriot.tv, Patriot.TV, okay? You can also sign up to watch it at Patriot.TV / and then forwards, The Kate Daly Show. Make sure you do that. They've got great content. It basically pays for itself, which is amazing. And I like the shows. You can watch this at night, 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock Eastern. And I'll tell you, we really need to get away from mainstream and get to good content. And thinking content is how I prefer to talk about it. Thinking content. So I really appreciate if you'd go do that, go sign up. And if you love this show, sign up for that. Patriot.TV, okay? All right, so welcome back. We've got Midwest Melissa. And, of course, I actually just keep going because this subject is very fascinating to me, where we're at right now, dystopian society. There we go. Are you there? Okay, let me do this. I am going to, let me do this. Let me call her right back and get her back on the line. It's live radio. What can I say? This is just kind of how it goes. All right, Melissa, you back with us?
Yeah, I hope.
All right, let's go.
So here we go. So we think we have free speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's a question for you. There was a former Russian citizen who has now immigrated to, and I'm not sure if he's living as a citizen in Europe or in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But he offers his opinion about all things Russian and Western Civ kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
2019 was the year. How many people in Russia in 2019 were arrested and prosecuted for violations of things that they posted on social media? Compared to how many in the UK at the same time, that same year? Who would have more, would you think? We know that Putin is a horrible, totalitarian, wicked, evil man that we hate because he's so bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Russia had 400 people arrested. The UK had 3,300.
Really?
Yeah. So it's very interesting.
Well, also,
now, what are people being arrested for? Sometimes people are, there's lots of things that can get you in trouble on social media, promoting porn or setting up, pedophile rings, whatever. However, we know right now in the UK, with the whole protests that are going on in the streets there over immigration, people are being arrested right now while they are clearing the jails of hardened criminals, people who have committed murder. They're making room for people who have said, for want of a better description, mean tweets and ugly memes. So how much free speech do we really have left in the West?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. By the way, you mentioned Russia. So the latest was, I just wanted to get your take on this. The latest was 2 Russian-based RT employees indicted by U.S. internet domain seized in election influence probe. What's the first thing that you think of?
It's that Brady Bunch line, Marsha, 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 only it goes like this: Russia, Russia, Russia.
Exactly. We're looking at the same headlines again. I swear we are reliving 2016. By the way, when it comes to RT, which is Russia Today, most of the journalists there are pretty bought and paid for. So it's kind of interesting when I see that the only way that they could find these employees, indicted by U.S. domain seized in election influence, would have to be people that are tied into the system. So an easy person to use as a scapegoat, especially with RT, right? Because all of our information, especially at that level, is co-opted. So of course that's where they find the probe. That's where they probe, and that's where they find what they're looking for. It just no coincidences. I just wanted to mention that.
It's just stupid sometimes.
I know.
And I think we're being, I do. I feel like the guy in 1984 who sees the headlines come through and he knows what the truth is, but you just can't admit it because to admit it is a crime against the state.
Well, I figure we're all wearing those sunglasses from that movie and that we're starting to really see what's going on. And I'm sorry, but if the only election influence you can find in Russia is with 2 media people that are probably contrived over at RT, maybe not the story of the day, but they're trying to make it be. Be right back on Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com. More with Midwest Melissa.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com.
This is the Kate Daly Show.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Daly Show. And so glad that you are, actually. I have Midwest Melissa on with me, and we're talking about this dystopian world that we happen to be living in right now. And so we have a lot of ground to cover, as you can probably tell. I know we want to ignore it. I think there's part of us that just says ignore, because I'm struggling to just live right now because of the economy. I don't want to have to think about all the things that are snooping on me. And I do think that we do have to think about why the data of the snoop is so important to them, right? Because you figure you're not doing anything, right? You're not, what is your little data? What's it good for? Why? Why do they want it? And you kind of have to think in terms of, would they be creating a different version of you in the future? That's a very interesting question that I'll just let lie there for just a moment. Midwest Melissa. All right, back here with you.
Creepy.
I know, and I don't mean to creep people out, but there's a reason that they're collecting all of this sort of what we think is useless data about us, right?
Well, let's morph over to a different subject, because this figures into many dystopian narratives too, is, the environment is going to be wasted, right? Mm-hmm. How many dystopian novels figure in some future world where the environment is just awful, for whatever reason. So environment, always a topic in dystopian stuff. So let me suggest this. When we hear the hullabaloo about eating bugs because the earth, we have to save the earth, we have to do this. Think about all the things that are connected with, we have to save the earth. And eating bugs is one of them. And I pulled an article today from the American Heart Association, published not too long ago, like 2021.
Yeah.
Where they were just the most glowing article about all of the many health benefits of eating crickets, eating beetles, eating flies, eating the larvae of all kinds of different things. Because, there's more protein in those bugs. And there's all kinds of amino acids in those bugs that you need to live. And I'm like, I've been living okay without doing that for a long time.
No thanks. No thanks,
but
crickets.
everything is framed in, we have to save the planet. Right? So are we going to just go along with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, by the way, they point out, and maybe truthfully, that there are people in other parts of the world who routinely and culturally eat bugs as part of their diet.
Right.
Okay. That's great. If you live in South America and in the jungle and that's what you've got. If you live in places where there are not many other food options for you and that's what your culture has done. But why is there this insistence that people who culturally have never eaten bugs must eat bugs now?
Yeah.
I have a friend who says this is because they are trying to deliberately humiliate the West. They're finding a food that is culturally not, that is not what we eat.
Right.
And then they're going to force us to do it. And they're going to sell it to us and they're going to laugh at us while we do it.
Yeah. I guess
how dystopian is that?
I can believe it. I really can. I can believe it. I can.
Well, I can too. But let's balance the bug thing. No matter what the American Heart Association says, there are some downsides to eating bugs, but we're never told those things. There's allergen issues, pretty serious allergen issues. People who have shellfish allergies may not be able to eat beetles. Isn't that great that we're having this conversation?
So disgusting.
Bacteria, bugs are full of some of the things that internal in a bug interfere with our body's ability to absorb certain nutrients. So it doesn't matter how much protein there is. If you can't absorb it, it doesn't do you any good. Pesticides, toxins, what data are they showing us to show that they really are a better use of our resources than livestock breeding or other things? And last but not least, let's bring PETA into the mix because bugs have feelings too, right? They do have pain receptors. They do have a central nervous system. So really, can we ethically eat bugs? I'm pinning my hopes on that one. I'm ethically opposed to eating bugs because it would be so sad.
Yeah. I know people just think that it's lunacy to even talk about it. They really do want to move us in that direction. I think people have finally grasped onto the fact that they would like us to. I can't imagine a time. I guess I should, because is it in our future? They want us to go that way because they're destroying our food supply? Yeah.
This is beyond they want us to go that way. Cricket powder is already being introduced into the food supply right now.
It is. It's in a lot of things. It is.
Yeah. Just because they're not putting they don't put a sticker on the front that says cricket protein inside. But if you start looking, it's in many foods already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is not like coming someday. You can apparently at the Seattle, Mariners Stadium. Is that the baseball team? You can already buy a cup of crickets.
So gross.
Yeah. Who wants that? Not me. Okay. Let's continue. So survival in every dystopian novel. There is some, everybody's pitted against, you have to survive against the system, right? And the system is not there to protect any individual. The system is there to protect itself.
Right.
So who has missed this headline just coming out this week? Venezuelan gangs in Aurora, Colorado, taking over apartment buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the police have been like, no, that's not happening here.
Mm-hmm.
No, we promise it's not. Until one of the women in one of the apartment complexes who had installed extra cameras and security in her apartment
Mm-hmm.
started putting the video out online and said, oh, yeah, look at this. And what's happening is they're calling the police, and the police will not respond because it takes a minimum of 3 to 4 police officers
Mm-hmm.
to take on the people that are trying to take over the apartment building. They're having shootouts in parking lots. People are calling the police. They're calling 911.
Mm-hmm.
And the police are just like, oh, we can't do anything about it.
Right.
What are we going to do? They formed a special task force now. But it took somebody to expose them
Mm-hmm.
to get there.
Right.
And we still think defunding the police is a good idea, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that people think that. I happen to like good cops. They're needed when they're needed. And you'll always have the badge heavies, but for the most part, you have a lot of cops that are pretty good, decent people that will be there to render assistance if you need it. And this is going to get kind of interesting. The whole defund thing is still going to go. They're still going to try, and then we're left with a very violent situation in the future. Yeah.
Well,
exactly
how
what
far
they
does
want.
that go?
Yeah.
I mean, how many apartment blocks can the Venezuelan or the Chilean or the Guatemalan gang control before we say, okay, no, they can't have any more?
Right. Hmm.
And the people who are living in those places,
Mm-hmm.
some of whom are from the migrant community themselves, are being left totally alone to solve it themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk about the quest for, it's the Hunger Games in their apartment complex.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know.
That's just delightful.
Well, yeah. And that's why when we're talking about prepare for some violence, prepare for all kinds of things that could be coming. But the more prepared we are, the less we have to fear. It's just kind of how it works. We talked about fear yesterday. It's a very real thing that you can get on top of these fears that are being stoked and allowed for in a lot of cases, like you just talked about. Be right back. Kate Daly Show, KateDalyRadio.com. Stay with us.
Former National Security Advisor Lieutenant General Michael Flynn pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
Every American needs this historical DVD keepsake. Flynn delivered the truth, whatever the cost. Hand signed by General Michael Flynn. Order now at the Patriot TV store. Use promo code PTV at checkout to get special savings. The Patriot TV store, a secure, hassle-free shopping experience.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever.
For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
This is the Kate Daly Show.
Welcome back. I got Midwest Melissa just tying up today's show. Lots of information today, and hopefully you'll go back, listen to the podcast, and share them on social media. That's my ask for listening to this show. Share, so we can get people educated. Very, very few shows are like this. About 1% of the media tells the truth. We are in that 1 percentile. We are a self-funded show, and so help us out. Go to the website, katedalleyradio.com. Help us out. Help us stay on the air. And it's a worthwhile endeavor. Once you see this show go, we're in trouble. We're in trouble, folks, because it is all ordained from on high. All your media is centrally funded, and media personnel are told what to talk about and what not to talk about, but not on this show. So always worthy of a listen. So Midwest Melissa, where do we go from here?
Well, let's talk in our last little few minutes that we have left about how to push back a little.
Okay.
There's a lot of things we can't control. And I guess embracing that is the first key.
Yeah.
You know, my smartphone is just a fact of life. I can't even find my way to a new place without Google Maps on it. So I think it's being aware and awake to some of those risks and what we can do about it is the first thing that we can do. Know that we can't eliminate it all, and nor is it every one of those things our fight.
Right.
But what we can do, we don't all have to use Google for every search that we do online. I use a different search engine because I don't want to use Google. Sometimes I use Google when it suits my purposes.
Right.
But also, we a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how Google skews the news, how they slant it. And since that time, every time I look at my news feed, like on my smartphone, when my news feed comes up, it's just knowing that it's going to be slanted helps me to just dismiss a lot of stuff. I'm like, that's just garbage. That's garbage. I can just get rid of it.
Right.
I don't have to worry about it. We have to develop enough confidence in our own thinking, which I think is hard because we're in a society that really rewards groupthink. But we have to be resilient enough to have confidence in what we think about things and dismiss all that media chatter. The other thing we have to do, and I hate to say this because I'm not good at it myself, is we really have to embrace doing our homework. Get out there, find out who is funding your congressman. Who are the PACs that he's taking money from?
Right.
Think for yourself, do your homework, and there's just no short circuit around that. And I know we're all busy and we're all stressed. I had to tell a car guy today, I've got to pick between fixing my car and getting some medical care. What would you have me do? And I think sometimes having those conversations with other people is useful to them as well as useful to us.
Okay.
Because we need to start speaking in ways that we can speak while we can speak. You don't have to come out and say, it's Donald Trump or nobody, or I hate Kamala Harris, but you can say, hey, look, my financial circumstances now, because inflation is so bad, I have to make these choices.
Yeah. You can say Kamala is lying scumbaggery who is a communist globalist.
Well, I do say that too sometimes, but
and all the people that are behind her, she's just the puppet. She's the idiot puppet, moronic, giggling idiot puppet. But yeah, I mean, you got to call it out what it is. But also, as small business owners across America, you don't have to buy into the new robot replacing the human. We as a people do not have to buy into a lot of the dystopian things that are on the verge of being very mainstream. We don't have to buy into all of that.
Well,
we can say no.
We still have buying power. We still have, and in our home, we have made some absolute decisions to support a local, independently owned store over a big box store for something.
Right.
Or a local restaurant that's owned, a mom and pop restaurant that's not a chain, a national chain. And there's nothing wrong with those national chains. Heaven knows we use those too sometimes, but we don't have to do it all the time. Think about what's healthier for your community and do those things more often. It makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know, if I get my groceries at Walmart, they don't really care. But I know I have started going to a local butcher, like a meat place, because it does matter to them. It's locally sourced food. I can go there. I can get better quality. And yes, it costs more. So maybe I need to eat less meat.
Yeah.
But we have to be vigilant.
Choose what you want. I mean, I'm into choice. I'm into freedom.
Absolutely.
I'm into liberty. Choose what you want to eat. So I don't want to see that disappear. Yeah.
Well, just and be engaged. Know what the surveillance is. It's knowledge is power. It really is.
Yeah. We have to know what we're fighting. And so we can't bury our heads in the sand on this. We can't just pretend that the definition of dystopian is imaginary world in the future. It is not imaginary. It's coming. And all of these things we're talking about are things of their desires that they could use people as a catalyst to bring here, to bring into our future. They're very real, but we as a population can fight about just about anything. So,
well,
we want
you know, it's good sometimes to go back and realize that utopia is not any place real. And we have a lot of people who are convinced of what utopia, you know, if we just did all these things, we could achieve utopia. And the real, you got to think through, what is your view of human nature? Do you really believe that people are perfectible in this world? And as much as I hate to say it, I do not believe that. That is not my frame of reference. People are not perfectible. People will always make mistakes. People are always motivated by things they shouldn't be. And to embrace that takes the edge off a lot of that utopian thinking too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, the world is not going to be all rosy if we let every person from all of South America into our country.
Right.
Or that will not make us better.
From China. A lot of Chinese coming through. Yeah, used to be South America. Now it's more everywhere else, I think. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a healthy mixture.
But we're sold,
invading
I
our
guess
border.
back in my dad's day, he would have said, you know, being a bleeding heart liberal, it doesn't get us anywhere.
Well,
so embrace a more realistic view of human nature,
right?
Too.
But it gets us everywhere that the deep state wants us to be, right? So their goals are definitely aligned. There's definitely a coordinated effort and conspiracy amongst people to get us to where we are at today in society, for sure.
Well,
there's not a single doubt.
I just can't end this without saying, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Gosh. No. All right. Thank you, Midwest Melissa Smith. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with Chris Ann Hall and Thomas Del Beccaro, and artists and Manarino on Friday. Be faithful, be fearless. See you tomorrow.
I don't know about you, but I have to have that cup of coffee in the morning. And Kingdom Cup is mold-free. It is pesticide-free. And it is organic. It's got this flavor that is delicious. You don't even have to put cream or sweetener in it.
Why did we go with the bean form, the whole bean? Because ultimately the powder form is the one that gathers the most moisture. And that means the more potential mold development. This is actually organic, mold-free, certified. That's important because ultimately people drink coffee. It's cultural. And so we tried to meet the culture where it is and create a healthy alternative.
Make the healthy choice for you and your family. Try mold-free, pesticide-free, and it's organic. Delicious Kingdom Cup coffee. And it's available now at the Patriot TV store. Go to patriot.tv and click on store. You'll find Kingdom Cup coffee in the health and wellness section. Order Kingdom Cup coffee at the Patriot TV store now.
Looking to give your wardrobe an upgrade? Well, look no further. Here at God Country & Kin, we've got you covered from head to toe, from shoulder to shoulder, and everything in between. Introducing our brand new Patriotic Collection, designed to display your patriotic spirit with a stylish look that's sure to turn heads. And the best part is, you don't have to break the bank to be your best you. Why wait? Visit us online or in-store today and elevate your style with God Country & Kin. God Country and Kin, where patriotism meets style. Shop now. Visit the Patriot TV store and look for the God Country Kin banner to find the perfect outfit, shirt, accessory, or maybe a great hat. You can totally see yourself rocking this hat. I know you can. And check out all the great stuff we've got to show your patriotism at patriot.tv.store. Click that link above that says store and join me there at the Patriot TV store.